Back at the 2017-18 NHL trade deadline, the New York Rangers traded away Ryan McDonagh, JT Miller for a pretty big haul of Vladislav Namestnikov, Brett Howden, Libor Hajek, a first and a conditional second rounder that stayed a second rounder. And at the time, I thought it was a decent deal. I think most Rangers fans didn't love it, but I think some definitely thought it was all right. And it obviously started the rebuild. And obviously it was needed. We needed to start a rebuild, and it ended up happening, and we got some decent pieces back. But I do think that once you listen to this video, listen to the pieces that we got, the pieces that we traded away, and got some other pieces back, I think you'll understand that this deal isn't as bad as some Rangers fans do think it is. Because I'm not saying this deal is good or amazing, but I think it is okay, because there is a couple of pieces that are still left from this deal on the Rangers that actually could be, potential really good pieces down the road. I'm not saying that there's going to be some Sidney Crosby somewhere in here, but there definitely could be some decent prospects that are still in here, decent players that could definitely still help this team out in the future moving forward. So taking a look at the first guy here, Ryan McDonagh, we know how good he was. He was the captain, the guy who led us to a Stanley Cup final. He was traded over from the Montreal Canadiens as a prospect. Obviously, that would end up being a great deal. But shipping him off, kind of, a lot of Rangers fans, it kind of hurt a bit, being the captain, the top line D-man, just an amazing player, great leader, great two-way defender. Obviously helped us get to the Stanley Cup final. It definitely hurt a bit seeing him go, but obviously now it's kind of worked out. I think for some pieces, definitely still looking pretty good. But the other guy was JT Miller, and both of them played solid roles. I mean, JT was only there for 2 years with Tampa before getting shipped off after they got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets that 1 year. JT only had 2 points there in 4 games played. A total of 21 games played in the playoffs with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and had only 10 points. So not the best playoff run from 2 playoff runs there from JT, but after that got traded. McDonagh, though, obviously won 2 Stanley Cups, made it to 3 in a row Stanley Cup finals. He was absolutely fantastic. Really was a great player for them. Helped them win those cups. Without him, who knows if they win those cups? Right? I'm not saying he was the best player on the team, but he was definitely a massive piece on their Stanley Cup final runs and that dynasty that happened with the Tampa Bay Lightning. So obviously he was great, but it did suck to see him go. But obviously for his sake, it definitely worked out quite well, because he won 2 cups, made back-to-back Stanley Cup finals appearances. So good for him, good for them. Obviously it worked out quite well for both sides on the, Ryan McDonagh and Tampa, but definitely hurt a bit seeing him win those cups with obviously the other team. But still great for him, good for him that it ended up working out for him quite well. The next guy here we have on the Rangers side of things now is Vladislav Namestnikov. Now this guy's had a good NHL career, 630 games played, 261 points, but the Rangers had one good year, 31 points in 78 games played. The next year had in 1920, had 2 games played before being shipped off to Ottawa for a 4th rounder in the 2021 draft, who ended up being Kalle Vasanen. Decent prospect. We'll get him in a second. And Nick Ebert was all in that deal as well, a minor league kind of guy who ended up getting let go. But Kalle ends up being a potential prospect. You never know what could happen with him. I mean, he could be a decent player one day. Turns 21 in late January. It's not bad. Left winger, 6'5", 194 pounds. Has won a silver medal at the U20 World Juniors. Not bad. But this past year, League of the Top Finnish League this year had 47 games played, 5 points. Not the best. The previous year had 32 games played, 5 points. So obviously took a big step back. 15 more games played, the same amount of points. Not the best. Has represented Team Finland at the past 2 U20 tournaments as well. Won a silver medal back in 2021 and 2022. So not bad. Overall, not the best prospect. Hopefully he can be better moving forward and hopefully get more ice time, but he's definitely going to earn it, and hopefully he can end up being a bit better for TPS, one of the better teams in the league as well. So not bad, but definitely not the best prospect in the world. The next guy up was Brett Howden. Obviously got clowned, but kind of a decent amount when he was on the Rangers, but has turned things around for sure with the Vegas Golden Knights, being a really solid kind of bottom 6 guy. This year had a pretty decent year in the regular season, had 54 games played, 13 points. But in the playoffs this year, had 22 games played, 10 points. Was fantastic in the playoffs this year on Vegas' run to winning the Stanley Cup. So this is another New York Rangers player that got traded away in this deal and ended up winning a cup. So that's kind of interesting. But then he ended up getting flipped for Nick DeSimone, another kind of AHLer, and a 4th rounder as well in the 2022 draft, who ended up becoming Nick Laba. Now, Nick is actually a decent prospect. He actually is a potential guy who could legit be a decent middle 6 center, probably more like a 3rd-line center at the next level. 4th liner, you never know, but he's still a long ways away. But, center prospect, 6'2", 192 pounds, was taken number 111 in the 4th round of the 2022 draft. Turns 20 in August 4th, so about to be turned 20 fairly soon, but he's still a decent prospect. This year for the Colorado College, had a decent year, 35 games played, 22 points, 11 goals, 11 assists. Not bad at all. Like, definitely could still be a decent player. Actually made Team USA for the U20 World Juniors. Was not expected to do so, but ended up earning a spot, which is good for him. So hopefully, maybe this year can have a massive year with Colorado College and have a big breakout year. Maybe next year, the previous year in 2024, 2025. Maybe can end up being a decent player in Hartford for a couple of years and maybe make the NHL after that. But I'm sure it'll be at least 2-3 years minimum away from the NHL if he ends up making it. But he definitely still has a chance to do so. So we'll have to see what happens with him. But still a decent prospect. And the second rounder ended up becoming Carl Henriksson. Now, this guy has been pretty awful, if we're being honest. 22 years old, turned 23 in February. Was born in Sweden, a center prospect, only like 5'9", pretty small. But he was taken with the 58th overall pick in the 2019 draft in the second round. This year with Hartford, has had 17 points in 70 games played in the playoffs, 8 games played, no points. Like, very, very bad. Let's be honest. He's probably not going to make the NHL. I would eventually guess he's probably going to end up going back over to Sweden in the next couple of years and just have a good pro career over there. In his last year in the SHL, had 9 points in 40 games played. So, decent stuff there. I think he's going to have a good, Euro career. I don't think he's going to be a big NHL kind of guy for sure, but I think he can be a good Euro player, above average Euro player for sure, but definitely not going to have the best NHL career. The last piece of this deal was Nils Lundqvist, who ended up trading away to the Dallas Stars for a conditional fourth that could become a third if he gets 55 points this year that just happened where he had 16, as well as next year. So it's going to be tough for him, but it's still possible. We could get a third rounder in 2025, or it's going to be a fourth rounder. Either way, kind of a mid-tier pick either way. But then we also traded away that first rounder that we got from Dallas to the St. Louis Blues in the Tarasenko deal, as well as Sammy Blais and Hunter Skinner, a prospect. But we kind of ended up getting Gabe Perreault out of this deal as well, because that first allowed us to keep one of them and draft Gabe Perreault. So technically, we kind of did end up getting Gabe Perreault to this. Now, we ended up giving that Dallas pick away, technically, right, to the St. Louis Blues, but we ended up keeping a first, which allowed us to, since we had 2 firsts, we could keep one of them, and obviously that allowed us to take Gabe Perreault. So kind of we had Gabe Perreault in this deal, kind of not, but it still ended up being pretty good for the Rangers, getting Gabe Perreault and some other decent prospects. Pretty much mainly just Noah Laba and Gabe Perreault left that are the good prospects that really have a chance of making a big impact one day, but it still is something, and it still could be something down the road, because Gabe Perreault definitely has a ton of talent. It could one day be an NHL superstar, and I'm not exaggerating. He has that kind of talent to be a top line point per game plus winger. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Please smash the like button and definitely comment down below your guys' thoughts on this deal. Do you guys think the Rangers won? Let's be honest, we didn't. But I think overall, in 4 or 5 years, again, when we take a look at this deal again, it definitely is possible that Gabe Perreault could be a star. And this deal pretty much allowed us to keep a first and allow us to draft Gabe Perreault. And maybe Noah Laba becomes a superstar. Maybe Kelly Vasina becomes a superstar. We'll have to wait and see. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching, and see ya.